Hey guys, Anthony for Before Diesel. This video, you guessed it, is going to be about suspension. And the reason I'm making this video, I get a lot of people inquire about suspension because we've used Dobinsons suspension for years. We've used other gear as well. So basically, I'm going to tell you what I know. I'll just tell you how it is. You know how it is. And basically, you know, we can supply you Dobinsons suspension kit. Of course, I appreciate the business if you choose to go through me, but it doesn't bother me if you go direct through one of the Dobinsons outlets. It'd be a bonus if you chose to do that. If you at least, you know that Anthony guy, let him know that Anthony Prado guy. That's why I decided to go, whatever. So at least they know sort of what's going on there, where it's coming from, and we might even be able to organise some sort of ongoing discount or group discount sort of thing. So obviously, if you can, touch base with me if you need the kit, but we'll just run through. There's a number of options. So I suppose this video is a video that I'm not sure if and when I'll make it public, but if you inquire about suspension with me, this is the one I'm going to send you so that I can give you the information instead of have another phone call for 20 minutes or half an hour with someone, which I like to explain things in detail and make sure you get the right product. So that's what we need to do, but it is very time consuming. So please don't make contact until you're ready to make your purchase. You can text me, make contact. It's always text me is the best because we can do a few texts. I can send you some links to videos. Even better if you just watch the videos and you've already seen it because you already know and you know what you want and you know what to do and when to do it. So look, as you can see, those old rear shockers up there, they've been up there about as long as that old Dobinson sticker. Back in the day, obviously, we used to sell and install quite a bit of Dobinsons. Depends what you call quite a bit, let's just say. You might have stayed a few sets here or there anyway. So we know the Prados and what goes in them fairly well. Prados. Look, we've done Prados, Hiluxes, D40 Navaras, we've done 200 series, Patrols, 80 series Cruisers, Tritons, you name it, right? So it's, Prados and Hiluxes are not the only things, but look, it would be, I suppose, I'm not saying I don't want to supply you the kit, of course, because it is business and we need to pay the bills, so feel free to contact me if you know the part numbers. If you've done your homework and you're going to buy a Dobinsons kit, you know what you want, and you've got your quote or something like that, send me the quote so I can see the part numbers, make sure the price is right. I might just say, yeah, that's good, go get that. Or I might be able to help you out with the price or something like that. It might be the same, might be dearer, might be cheaper, who knows. But you might just want to support me because I'm giving you the information. Those rear shockers up there, they end in the number 701. That's what we use in the back of the Prados. They're a perfect open, excuse me, talking too much already. They're a perfect open length, okay? So there's a few things about suspension that I'm not negotiable on, and the open or extended lengths needs to be pretty well spot on right. If it's too short, they're going to top out, you're going to do damage, which can happen anyway because you've got limited travel, particularly on the fronts. And so we don't want them too short, we don't want them too long because then you're going to break other things like CV joints and stuff like that, which some of you experience that. So in my opinion, Dobinsons have got the lengths right. Why have they got it right? Maybe for years I've been telling them what I want the lengths at, so of course I'm going to think they're right, because I'm not saying I told them, because they might have just made their own decision, but I provide my feedback and I'm sure other people do as well, and as it turns out, maybe everybody's telling them the same thing or they listen, whatever, and they've had it right for years, okay? So that's one thing. The lengths are good, okay? Let's be clear, the lengths are good. Now, the other part that's good is the bushes are good. Now, you might be wondering why I've got those shockers up there on the wall. I'll tell you why. They are quite a few years old. I can't really remember. They're probably, I don't know, 2000 and, oh no, I'll take a guess, 2012 or 13, about 12 I think, something like that. But they haven't been in a car for a few years. They've been up on the wall. So for, say, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, somewhere around there, they went over the Simpson Desert and up the Cape and down to Tassie, along the beaches and up along the west coast at the Steep Point. They went here, there and everywhere, right? So they've been around, and that's why you can see they've got quite a bit of, they're a bit hammered there, right? You can see, they got, the rocks hit them and that's fine. They're twin tubes, and that's what I want to explain. This is why I like the twin tubes over, I'm not saying there's a problem with other stuff. I'm just going to plug the charger in because it said battery's a bit low, so give me a break for a second. So this is where we could edit, but we just go for it. We're just going to make it happen. Just unplugging a charger off a car to get the extension lead, and we are plugged in now. Okay, so saves any interruptions, hopefully, unless the phone rings. We could get that one. We're having a bit of a quiet moment. It's late in the afternoon, doesn't happen often, and I thought opportunity. So look, the one standing up, zip tied to the wall, you probably can't see as, it's not as bad as the other one. The other one laying on top of the box, if you look at the right hand side near where the light's shining on the wall, it's all the paint's gone, right? So it's been everywhere, they've been hammered. You don't need guards, that's the first thing I want to say. You don't need any extra guards than that. If a big rock hits it, puts a dent in it, it's a twin tube, so you're not going to have any problems. That's why I like twin tubes at the back. These are very reliable, okay? There's thousands and thousands of them out there. We know of maybe a handful that have either had a leak or, you know, a couple of small problems like that. The service is second to none, so we're not phased about that. If it was a big problem, we certainly wouldn't be using them. We'd be looking for other options, as we did many years ago when we had problems with other brands. That's why we're just not going to talk about other brands. We're going to talk about the stuff we like. And on the stuff we like, I'm just going to mention, I don't have any problem with the ARB suspension, the nitro charger, the yellow ones. See it in heaps of cars. It generally rides pretty well, lasts pretty well, and does the job, okay? I'm not saying it's the best suspension. It's reasonable value for money, and I don't have a problem if you want to go that way. Just want to show you, and I'm not going to sell it to you. I don't, you know, just go direct to ARB. If you want to know which store or whatever, you want to try and get a discount, you can text me. If you're in, look, we're on the northwest side of Melbourne, so Keilor would be the store. So if you're going to go to Keilor, let me know, or Thomastown, you know, up north, whatever it is. Where are they now? Somerton, whatever. If you're going to go to Somerton, let me know, and we might try and tee something where you get you a bit of a discount. Make sure you get looked after, if possible, okay? Again, it's one of those things, if we send enough people, group discount please, bada bing, you just roll in and, you know, whatever. Yeah, never know, we'll see, okay? No promises. So traditionally, those ones up there, they're the twin tubes. We use tons of those for years and years and years. Let's have a look at another one off the front. That's a rear one. Let's have a look at a front one I got here on the bench. Just give me a sec. All right, so on the bench here, I've got a couple of selected versions of suspension to show you. And this is obviously the matching, you know, type unit that would go, and I just sort of, you know, you haven't got the coil on it, so it doesn't look as nice at the moment. Nice, big, fat shaft. Decent quality too. Quality materials. It doesn't get damaged easily. You know, you look at that after a number, you know, plenty of use generally. Don't get me wrong, if you use them on corrugations, you're going to cook them, they can discolor, but I see that on other brands a lot quicker. I've used other brands, okay, I'm not going to name it because I don't want to be bagging other brands. Just because you've used it and it's cooked out and things have gone bad doesn't mean it's bad, you know. But look, these, they stay pretty good considering what they do. Now, one of the things I really like about these, besides, as I talked about, the lengths are important. This is big enough here that it's nice and strong. It's increased from the stock, is much smaller there. It just comes up. It's just the whole, it's stronger, okay? Strength is what I'm talking about, and the bushes are awesome. The Dobinsons bushes are one of the best in my opinion. As you know, we're comparing same here. When you look at heaps of Prados and you see heaps of bushes all chopped out at the top here, and you don't see it on the ones you see most of, you know it's something good, right? So we like the bushes, we like the lengths, the overall quality we like the value for money, okay? So that's your traditional suspension, the yellow ones, they're twin tubes, okay? Now, just to save any confusion, I'm just going to move this out of the way for a minute. We're just going to pop that one over there. Now, this one here, this is your monotube, okay? Without the remote reservoir. I'll mention on the remote reservoirs in this video. I'm not telling you need them or not. I'm just going to sort of tell you what I know, and hopefully you can make a decision. By the time you text me again, you've got a fair idea what you want. Okay, so monotubes. I'll try and be quick with this. I've said it, I don't know, I've done a few videos on Dobinsons suspension. I've probably said it before, so you can try and catch me out if I'm lying. Okay, first set of these that went in the 120, they went in, and the understanding was there because they got a better capacity and cooling capacity, so they're going to work better on the corrugations. Because what happens with the yellow ones, when you're hammering them on the corrugations, I think they get hot, they get aerated, whatever, they don't dampen very well. I'll tell you straight. But that's the same. I'm not picking on that brand. Again, any brand, you're going to have a similar sort of situation. Depends how much fluid's in there, what they're doing, how they're being used, and all that. Now, I used a set of these. There were 2 cars, 2 drivers. In March, out in the outback, it was 40 degrees every day. It was hot, nobody was out there. we're tearing around on dirt roads. When I say that, you know, not dangerous, we know what we're doing, but you know, where you're coming up to bends where you'd probably slow down a bit more, we're still doing 80, 90, 100 Ks. You could see kilometres away, you know, not putting anyone at risk, not driving silly, definitely within all the rules and all that, but we gave them a good hammering is what I'm trying to say, where the other yellow ones would have got hot, would have been a bit bouncy and floaty and not handle as well. They handled unbelievably good out there. So I'm impressed with these on the corrugations. Now at this point I want to point out, those ones up on the wall there, the rears, they're the rears for Prado. Don't have problems with those fading out, okay? It's the front that has the problem, okay? So, solution right here. Okay, then they're in the vehicle. Tell you this story quickly. I had a client, came in our vehicle, and he said, wow, this ride's nice. He goes, what are these? I want a set of these, you know? I said, no worries, I'll order you a set. He said, no, I want yours. So, long story short, because I'll probably said it in another video, he says, no, I want yours. So, he makes me pull them out. So, I did that, ordered another set. Long story short, they're in his car. I'm pretty sure he's happy. No news is good news, you know what I mean? So last time I spoke to him, yep, happy, whatever. No news is good news, right? Haven't heard anything since. G'day, Mark, if you watch this video. How you going? Long time no see. Maybe it's time we caught up and had a lunch. Anyway, so put another set in the 120, and I did notice, I've got to be honest, I can tell you this now. Mark, stop watching. Turn it off, mate. The replacement one, I reckon the ride was a little bit better, so they might have made some slight adjustments. I reckon it was a more comfy ride around town, a little bit softer, which doesn't suit. It's always a compromise, guys, see? You know, you make it softer, then it's going to be a bit more bouncy for some people, want it firm, so can't keep everyone happy, and that's where the adjustable part comes in. We'll talk about that later. Trying not to confuse things, right? So most people can go for the yellow twin tubes. They're the cheapest, they're reliable, they've got the good bushes. Happy, you run around town, taking the kids to school, you're going into the high country a couple of times a year for a weekend camping, whatever, that's fine. If you're traveling out in the outback and you're doing heaps of corrugations and you want control, then you might want to upgrade to these, okay? You can see it's solid, right? So there's none of that welding or anything there. Rock solid, mate. You couldn't destroy it. You could get rid of your bump stops, mate, and this thing's going to cop it. Look, you'd probably do other damage. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just trying to say this is strong, and they are heavy. They're heavier, so keep that in mind. Another advantage, it's got an adjustable seat, right? So if you want it higher or lower, you need to take the spring load off it. So there's different ways to do that, and then you can adjust these rings here to set your height. Now, without getting into too much detail on that, that is, I suppose, one of your main options. What a lot of people are doing, they're taking the twin tube rear shocker because it's reliable, that twin tube layer where the rocks are going to hit it, so it's reliable and there was never a problem with it fading out or anything. Stick with that because that's the cheapest and it does the job. Combined with this combination here, right, which these are about, I don't know, $275, $285 a corner, so it's going to add a bit of money on compared onto the kit, probably an extra $300, right? So there's one point I wanted to make. So I'm going to give you a ballpark pricing for anyone that watches. So the Dobinsons kit, the twin tubes, it's probably about $1,100 worth. And when I say about, depends what state you get it from and where you are. We're going to freight it direct to you. Depends what, you know, a few variables there, right? So budget purposes, about $1,100, you know, more or less, whatever. Now, that's the kit. That's all you need. You don't need diff drops and all these other fancy things, right? You need springs, shockers, and struts. Do it right, do it reliable. Now, the other option you got is, if you're doing it yourself, to avoid doing compressing springs and all that, because you don't want to try and use cheap bodgy spring compressors on these springs. You may damage them. You might get away with it too, but we don't do maybes. I'm just going to move it that way a little bit and show you. So you got the top hat on there. See, this is already assembled. You can buy them already assembled like this, okay? So they can either come from me and I've assembled them, or they come direct from Dobinsons, whatever the case may be. It doesn't really matter, but the point is you're paying for these. I think the genuine ones are nearly $150 each. These Dobinsons ones there might be a bit under $100 each. I can't remember if they're like 90 or 100, something like that. A couple $100 and a little bit of labour to put it together. So about a couple $100 you're going to add on to get it already assembled. It's going to make it easier for you. Bada bing, bada boom, in and out she goes. But you're going to pay a little bit more for it. Where if you want to save money, you can take your old strut out, take it down to someone with a spring compressor with a new strut and spring, and they'll reuse this top hat and do the job for you. Should be really like, I don't know, $50, $40, $70, somewhere, just to give you an idea so you're not getting ripped off. If they say 200, so tell them they're dreaming. You are dreaming, right? So they're your two options. I'm going to bring the other option back into the picture so we're not confused anymore. So I suppose what I'm saying is, right, these, you know, these two are kind of your options at the front. So you've got those two options. Without confusing things too much, you've got two options plus the option of having that or not, right? So then we can go to the next level. You can go, oh, that's going to do my head in OCD having these nice black purple ones at the front, and having those yellow shocks up there on the wall, the display. Look how old we are, no leaks, we've been hammered all around everywhere, reliable as anything display. You know, that's going to do my head in. For some people it's like that, so that's okay. You can spend another $200 or $300 and have these monotube, Dobinsons monotube at the rear as well. You can certainly have these at the rear as well, right? But this is the way it works, okay? Early days we did a bit of some testing with some, and they were sort of mounted up the same way as the other ones, but they were a bit hard to fit because, why were they hard to fit? Yeah, to get in, because look, you couldn't really, it had an Allen key, these have got Allen keys on the end of them, it was painful. You could do it, but it was a bit painful, right? So, wasn't a fan of that. So then what they did, they turned them upside down, you know, like on a motorbike, you know, these things, you know, whatever. The monotubes on the rear, they're upside down, right? So, bada bing, you know, so they're going to be mounted kind of like that way, not these ones, these are the fronts, right? I haven't got them here, so I can't show you. Not very popular, not many people go that way. I'm not saying there's a problem, but a lot of people go, you know what, if those are reliable, I'm going to save some money, and they give you, you know, whatever. So not enough people have gone for the monotubes in the rear and provided the feedback to tell me, oh yeah, it's great, I'm glad I did that. They're upside down, so what does that mean? That's good because it gets the internal part of the reservoir, right? That section that would normally get hit by the rocks at the bottom. Let's have a look up the top again. You see the bit where it gets hit at the bottom there, right? Where the rocks get smashed by the rocks. I'll get my special little pointer, right? You know, the worst of it's all over the bolt about there. Hey, magnet, that's a good magnet. Look how much it sucks it in. I'm feeling it. Hey, come back. Yeah, good magnet anyway. So, gets smashed all the way up here. You can see that's where the rubber brake, handbrake line goes, right? You get a little bit there and then a little sprinkle. Normally when the car's on the ground, obviously that top dust cover would be down around here somewhere. So as basically the worst of it is at the bottom third, I would describe. The bottom third, maybe the bottom 40%, if you know what I mean. And the worst of it being at the bottom quarter, you know, 20 to 30% at the bottom. And they've been around and there's no big dents in those that would do any damage anyway, even if it was a single tube in my opinion. So, but what they've done, they've got it upside down. So that gets that part of the tube that's got the fluid in it up out of the way. It's not getting hit by rocks, barely even a sprinkle, right? So no problemo. But then that brings your shaft down to the bottom, if you know what I mean. The shaft end's facing down, which means you've got that rubber boot over it. Now, I've got to tell you, they're really good quality rubber boots. We've had a set on the 120 for, I don't know, I can't remember now, what is it? It's over a couple of years, must be coming up to 3 years, is it? Must be nearly 3 years. I think it was 2017 that went in. Jeez, the years are going by quick, aren't they? Nearly 3 years, I think it is. And we've got zero problems with the boots. I've just had it up on the hoist recently for a service and a check over, lubrication and stuff. And the boots are beautiful, soft and supple, right? So they're good quality boots. I've been told they're good quality. What I see, they look like good quality. Now, when they get older, are they going to go hard? I don't know. If you hit enough hard, sharp rocks, are they going to get torn to pieces? Maybe. When the rocks go through and hit that shaft, is it going to do damage? Maybe. You know, like I said, it's really good quality material. So I just want to sort of paint a picture for you. Let's go back to the bottom. Okay, so back to the bottom. This shaft here, this is what I'm talking about, right? So it's not exactly like this, but it's basically mounted like that, right? Showing the picture like that, right? And you've got a rubber boot here. So the rocks are going to be hitting this area here. Eventually when the boot breaks, is it going to tear through and damage this? Well, I don't think it's going to tear through, not for a long time. And then it's something where we would just talk to Kaon and say, hey, we need, these boots are starting to get a little bit whatever, and Kaon would make something that straps around here on that top section with a guard that comes down one side like this, the side that the rocks is going to hit it, because it doesn't matter about the boot, it doesn't matter about dust and water, that's all fine, right? As long as the rocks aren't hitting, damage to this shaft is a problem, okay? So as you can see, I'm going to turn that around, I'm going to spin it around, right? Yeah, you can see a little bit of cookage there, you can see what I'm talking about, the heat, right? So they have been used, they've been hammered, right? See that? Right? Nothing wrong with it though. This one just came out. I don't know why it came out. It came out, I think it came out, I think it might have been, I really don't know. I'm going to be making stuff up now, right? But there's nothing wrong with it. That's why I've still got it. It's a perfectly good spare. I can tell you it's done about 15, 20,000 Ks, I think, thereabouts. What did it come out for? I think it just came out because we changed over the monotubes. That was out of the 120, that was out of my car. The other one, yeah, what happened? I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter, there's only one there, so I don't know what happened. Maybe someone's got one as a spare or something. Anyway, not going to need it. So what I'm trying to demonstrate is that shaft going to get damaged? Maybe, maybe not. You can decide that one. The boots are good so far. I just want to be clear, the boots are good so far. There's not a problem. There's a solution. K-On will come to the rescue if, I'm sure they will, if there was a problem. If we all start using those and the boots are looking average, mate, you know, it's going to be like these steel guards that go over there. But I kind of go, why would we go to the risk of a maybe when, what are we going to get? That's kind of my thinking, guys, I've got to say. So what's the positive here? There was nothing wrong with the other product. Oh, hang on, that's right, you needed it for your OCD to match it up with this. So you're paying more money to try something out, to see if it, and maybe it's going to give a more comfortable ride. I've got to be honest, I haven't used them. Let's go and see what I have used and I'll tell you about those. Alright, so I'm being lazy now. The car's on the ground and I'm not putting up on the hoist. Can't be bothered, but I just want to demonstrate. Okay, this is what we have used. You probably remember a video, and that's when these went in. It was a bit of a test fit for the rear remote reservoir brackets, and obviously all confirmed test okay. And I'll be honest, I was like, well, what do we need remote reservoirs for? You know, we're going to be spending more money. Then there's a hose, you know, where things move, you know, an O-ring in there and stuff like that, and maybe things are going to deteriorate and leak and whatever. So when we install this set, testing the new brackets out, right, we put a bit of split corrugated tubing over the hose in the end to keep some people happy. I didn't think there was going to be an issue because it's not rubbing on anything and rocks don't get thrown there. And as you can see, it's all still there as it was. There's no leaks, right? There's no leaks. It's bone dry, I believe. I'm just having a look at the reservoir now. Bone dry. The other side may have a bit of a sweat on it. Okay, maybe we'll go and have a look at that. But you know, it is 3 years old, bit of wear and tear. I would suggest you're probably going to get a tiny little sweat. Not worried about that. If it's a leak and drips, that's a problem. The other thing that can happen is when they're assembled, if there's oil in the threads, that can slowly come out over time and have a bit of a sweat there as well. So let's tell you about these. So these are the monotube remote reservoirs. So they're upside down. You can see this part of the shock, it's normally at the bottom, okay? So the shaft is at the bottom with the dust boot over it. You've seen it. If you go watch my other videos if you want to see that, right? The reservoir's mounted there, that's fine. What are we getting for that? Well, if we went on extreme corrugations for a long time, because of the fluid capacity, it's going to stay a lot cooler. And because of the single, because it's a monotube, think of it as thinner. There's more air, the air hitting it cools it down. So you're going to get a better cooling factor as well, okay? These ones are not adjustable. So what are you getting? You get to spend more money. You get chances, I'm not saying there's a problem, but chances of being a bit less reliable. You know, mate, I'll tell you how it is. I'm not going to try and upsell you or downsell you. It's just how it is. I don't see a problem, but I see the possibility of a problem, but we haven't seen it yet. Do you know what I mean? So if you want, you can be part of the R&D. That's good. The ride. I wouldn't say it's much different to those old rusty ones up on the wall. When I say old rusty ones, you know, they've been hammered and been washed, and of course it's got that rusty colour, but they're good. If I was buying new suspension for my 120 here today, what would I buy? I'd buy the yellow ones for the rear and the monotubes for the front, because that's what I do. We do a lot of corrugations. Never had a problem with the rear. It's reliable. That's probably why they're really up on the wall. They're ready to go back in if these let me down or something like that. Maybe, you know, maybe not. You know, they were due for a replacement by kilometers. There was just no problem with them, you know. So they're maintenance items, guys. So it's not an investment for life. It's a few years. Suspension specialists recommend changing these wear and tear items every 80,000 Ks. That doesn't include for off-road or severe off-road use, okay? And we know that's not going to happen. We know you're not going to do that anyway, right? I'm just telling you what the recommendations are. Tyres, you can see the wear. Brakes, you can see the wear. These things, you can't see it. Slowly it fades away, you don't notice it. You get new ones in and you go, oh wow, that's better, you know? So when these went in, the old ones went out, these went in, I was going to say maybe they give you a slightly better ride, but the high-speed valving is maybe a little bit tight because you do feel bumps quite firmly as well. So they're a good combination of, they do handle well, they're not soft and floaty. They'll probably work better with more weight in there. When we're loaded up for a trip, they're really good, you know what I mean? When it's a bit lighter, it's, you know, it's not bad, don't get me wrong, I'm being really fussy here, you know, they're not bad. Let's go and have a look at the 150, right, and see the advantages over there. But not before we take a look at this side. So if you want to have a look at the part number, you might be able to see it there in the middle of the picture. What is it? IM 950701s. Like I said, 701s, right? You can see no leaks on the shock itself. It's not a messy thing, that's what I'm saying. You can see, you know, where I washed it, the degreaser marks and stains and whatever, you know, giving a bit of a blast and a spray and whatever, but, you know, it hasn't been washed lately. It hasn't had a big wash. You can see the dirt on the corrugated split tubing. It's not like there's oil everywhere, but if you look down on that reservoir, there's a small amount, like a sweat, you know what I mean? Not even on the top, just along the bottom. It's not like there's a drip there or anything like that. So there's no problem. If I gave that a good degrease, it probably might not even come back, you know what I mean? But of course, like I said, there's an O-ring at the top end of the hose. There's going to be the same at the bottom. So possibly, I'm just saying possibly. It doesn't mean you can't do some maintenance. 3 years old, looking pretty good, no complaints here. Let's look at the 150, we've got a set in there too. Okay, so the difference with these ones are, do you love it the way I always go, okay, so. Okay, so, anyway, the difference with these is basically the same thing except better, because of course, you know, they're a couple of years newer or so they probably make small improvements as you do with your products. If you want to make the best or be very good or excellent, you make changes to make it even better. Now, these are only about, what have they been in for? 8 months old, something like that. Okay, so they haven't been in for that long. There's no leaks or sweats on either side. The only difference is they're adjustable. And I'm pretty sure these may have only just kind of, sort of, maybe, could be wrong, come available on the market. Okay, so this was like prototype stuff, sort of testing and stuff like that. We did the same thing. That had the phone call interruption, but that's all good. What was I saying? We put the corrugated split tubing on, same old, same thing. The brackets, looks, I think they're the same brackets, but you got to manipulate, change it a little bit because the cans are a bit longer. The remote reservoirs, they've got the adjustment on the end. You can see that on the, just next to the tyre there, see the purple thing. So there's a couple of adjusters just to give you information on these remote reservoir adjustable. So they're not adjustable height, it's adjustable ride, 3-way adjustable. You've got 3 adjustments. If you're into dirt bikes and stuff, you know a bit about it, you might like playing with things. If you like to just have things to be right and you don't want to mess around with it, you can have these or not. The positive is you can have it set up and then it's going to be right, but if you add load, remove load, just like ones that aren't adjustable, it's not, there's a compromise, right? So you've got a rebound adjustment, you've got a compression adjustment, 2 compression adjustments, high speed and low speed, not for high speed driving and low speed driving, for high speed movements and slow speed shaft movements. For example, you might want to slow your slow speed shaft movement, tighten it up so that when you go around corners you get less body roll, you know, as you steer left to right sort of thing, slightly, and then, you know, you might want to change it so you get a softer ride hitting those bumps and stuff like that on your high speed adjustment, you know, where you're rebounding. Different for corrugations, all sorts of different conditions, and you can make it really awesome in one particular condition, but it'll be compromised in another, which is why you're going to kind of set it up to a compromise either way. But if you're going on a big trip, once you load it up, and if you know you're going to be on the corrugations, you can make those adjustments to make it handle those better. So that's the positive. The positive is it's adjustable. The negative is it's adjustable. So, you know, to get it right can take some time. Make sure you're happy, conditions change, because you know you can adjust it, you just want to tweak it a bit more. So if you like playing with things, this could be for you. You're going to spend some money. I think they're about $500 a corner, I don't know. I've never sold a set, guys, so I'm not saying there's a problem, but there's a hose there, there's O-rings there, there's a remote reservoir there. It fits in there no problem without anything hitting. You can get to the adjuster. They're the compression adjusters right there, the purple and the black one on the end. Let's get in there and try and have a closer look, eh? Have a bit of a closer look for you, what's going on there, right? If that helps you at all. Whatever, right, there they are. There's those little babies. What I want to say, another positive note is, this is the best ride of any Prado I've ever been in, right? So There's the big one, right? It does ride really well, I've got to say. And it's adjustable, so you can make it better, you know. Of course it rides well because it's adjustable, right? It's set up for the load that's in there. As soon as I load it up for a trip, it might be a bit soft and bouncy. We've got to give it a couple of clicks. So if you like fun stuff like that and spending money, this is good gear that makes the comfort really well. We've only had them for about 8 months. As far as I know, they've just come available on the market. Maybe not in these part numbers, so maybe not for Prados, could be for other vehicles. I don't know what, I don't work at Dobinsons. If you're interested in the Prado stuff, as I hear that it's available, and sometimes when it's available, oh, there's 10 sets, 20 sets of that part, you know, they might get 20 of those, 20 of those, 20 of those, I don't know. Again, I don't work there, but I'm sort of, you know, sort of guesstimating and trying not to give out too much information, you know, what might be happening. So it might be hard for you to get a hold of, sort of thing. So I'd say sit tight at the moment. Let's let them run a little bit longer yet. If I think these are really awesome, they've been reliable, and I know they're in stock, I might talk about it some more in other videos. That's why you subscribe and turn the bell on so you don't miss that next important information. And if all you want to know about Dobinson suspension, if the video isn't named something to do with Dobinson suspension, you don't have to watch it, but I'd suggest you're missing out if you don't. Watch every video till the end. I don't know what else I can tell you. If I upgrade you to this and sell you one of these kits, it's heavier to send to you. It's heavier on the hip pocket to purchase. What did I say? I think they're about 500. So you're going to be up for $2,000 plus your calls. You're going to be over the $2,500 mark plus your freight. You might as well just say 3, and then you might get a good surprise. So about $3,000, $2,500 to $3,000. Look, you're spending nearly, not 3 times the money, but you're spending almost 3 times the money of the cheapest kit. Remember, it's wear and tear, guys. Another positive, this is rebuildable. You can rebuild it, but can you rebuild it, or do you have to pay someone? How much are the parts? Is it worth it? So this is your information. This is the whole lot together, all in one video, hopefully. I don't know what I've missed. I've given you all the options. I've given you assembled or not, so you should be able to ring me and say, mate, I just want those yellow twin tubes. Mate, I'm not doing any crazy corrugations. Or I do a bit of corrugations every now and then, and it really annoys me the fact that the front's a bit floaty, so I want to upgrade to those monotubes, and I'm going to put in myself. I just want to get them assembled. I'm happy to pay the couple $100. We can do that. Or you go, you know what, I'm going to do that, but it's going to do my head in, so I'm going to put monotubes all around. Or you might go, I want remote reservoirs all around adjustable. Or you might go, I want just monotubes at the front, but not adjustable, because the weight on the front's pretty consistent, and Dobinsons have set it up really well, and I'm telling you that as well. This has got the monotubes in the front, and they are set up really well. It's part of the best ride I've ever experienced in a full drive, in a Prado or anything really. It's just absolutely awesome, and the front's not adjustable. It's just got the monotube in there at the moment, not adjustable. The rear's adjustable. The reason I liked it at the rear is if you change your weight, right? So this is a GX, it's nice and light. If there's not much weight in there, you can back it off a little bit and get a comfy ride. And when you load it up for a trip and you add in the family, your storage, your fridge, your food, load up your roof, and you're heavy, you can give it a couple of clicks and keep the comfort, you know, adjust it to suit the conditions. And believe it or not, the rear is where all the weight goes on and off. The front's not going to change more than, from my experience and what I've seen, it's not changing more than sort of 20, 30 kilos, maybe 50 tops. People get in the car, the weight goes in the back, all the weight goes on the back axle. So think about that. Think about your rear tires, think about your wheels, think about your axles and your bearings and your offsets. I don't want to go off topic, but I'm just mentioning, understand the weight goes on the rear. Okay, it might be a surprise. You might think you're loading up the car and a lot goes to the front, something like that. It's going to the rear. You hook on your carrier and it goes to the rear. You might even take it off the front. Okay, think about where the point of the weight is. It's a cantilever effect, lifting the front up slightly. So anyway, guys, I reckon that just about nails it. So if you put it in the comments if I nailed it, and if you've got questions there, I need to make another video because I didn't get it right. And of course, I'll keep those comments in mind when I make the next video, but hopefully this one nailed it. Thanks for your contact, inquiring with me about the suspension. If you are interested, you need to text me, shoot me a text message with your name, your vehicle details, what year it is. It's a Prado, it's a Hilux, or whatever it is, where you are, what area, what sort of urgency. Oh, no hurry, mate, when you got time, or oh, I want it really quick if you can. I'm ready to order ASAP, or I'm ready to order, but I'm not in any hurry either. I've been waiting years. What's another few days or weeks? Text is best during school hours. In the mornings is best. The only concern with the text is if I'm on holidays, I don't get to leave a voicemail, you know what I mean? So please be patient. Usually I'm going to get back to you pretty quick. feel free to remind me again a couple of days later, because what happens with the texts, you know, they go down, they get buried, and if I'm away for a few days, no phone service, it could just become a mess. So try and stay in touch by watching the videos, and on the groups I'll usually mention if I'm going to be taking some time off, taking a break, because you know I'm going to have a mental breakdown doing too much work, making videos, working on cars, supplying parts and everything else that goes with the business, mate. Parts interpreter, manager, accounts, everything. So yeah, too much work. I need a good break every now and then. You might think school hours is slack. School hours is the part where you can contact me and I can work on your car or supply your parts, okay? That's the times, from 9 AM Melbourne time. Thanks for watching. If you got all that detail, look forward to some awesome comments there. Give us a thumbs up if that worked for you, and hit us in the comments with the questions if it didn't, and I will make another video. Alright, I'll be making another video anyway, so what's the difference? Alright guys, thanks for watching. Catch us here.